You ever notice how easy it is to come up with a reason why you can't do something? The words roll off your tongue almost naturally. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I'm too tired. It's not the right moment. Those sentences sound harmless, but every time you say them, you're making a choice to stay exactly where you are, a choice to stay comfortable instead of moving forward. Think about it. The gap between people who win and people who lose isn't luck. It's not that winners are born special or that life handed them something different. The gap is simple. Losers make excuses. Winners make progress. That's it. That's the line in the sand. Excuses keep you standing still, while progress moves you forward, even if it's only an inch at a time. The dangerous thing about excuses is how convincing they sound. You tell yourself, I'll start when I feel ready. But here's the truth, you will never feel ready. You tell yourself, I'll wait until things calm down. But life will never calm down. You tell yourself, it's too hard. And yes, it is hard. That's why winners separate themselves. They don't wait for the struggle to disappear. They fight through it. And here's the question you have to face. Are you living in excuses or are you living in progress? Be honest with yourself, because excuses don't come with warning signs. They don't feel like chains. They feel like comfort. They whisper to you, it's okay, try tomorrow, take it easy, you deserve a break. And while you're listening to those whispers, your goals are slipping further away. There are two types of people in this world, the ones who stay where they are because they can always explain why they can't move, and the ones who push forward no matter what stands in front of them. You already know which group you want to be in. The question is, which group are your actions proving you belong to? Because the truth is, no one cares about your excuses. Life doesn't care. The world doesn't care. And deep down, even you don't respect your own excuses. What you respect is progress. The days you get up when you don't feel like it. The moments you keep pushing, even though you're tired. The choices you make to rise instead of retreat. That's when you start to feel alive. So here's what we're going to talk about. How to break free from the prison of excuses and step into the mindset of progress. Because if you're serious about changing your life, about becoming stronger, sharper, more unshakable, then the first thing you have to do is stop talking about why you can't and start proving why you can. This isn't about being perfect. This isn't about waiting until conditions are flawless. This is about progress, plain and simple, step by step, choice by choice. No excuses, because in the end, the difference between where you are and where you want to be comes down to whether you're willing to let excuses run your life or whether you're ready to leave them behind and move forward. Excuses are dangerous because they feel harmless. On the surface, they sound like logic, like reasons, like protection, but underneath, excuses are nothing more than a prison disguised as comfort. They keep you in the same place, stuck behind invisible bars, convincing you that you're safe when in reality, you're trapped. Every excuse you make is another brick in the wall that separates you from the life you want. And the more excuses you pile up, the harder it becomes to break free. Think about it. The excuse, I don't have time, isn't the truth. It's a decision. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. When you say you don't have time, what you're really saying is, this isn't a priority for me. And the dangerous part is, you believe your own words. You tell yourself the story enough times and it feels real. But the truth is, you always make time for what matters. The difference is that winners prioritize progress, while losers prioritize comfort. Excuses give comfort, but progress demands discomfort. Excuses also feel easy because they remove responsibility. When you say, I can't because of this or that, you're handing your power to something outside of you. You're saying, it's not my fault. It's not my choice. Something else is in control. And that's exactly why excuses are poison. They strip you of control. You can't change what you don't own. Winners take ownership. They look in the mirror and say, if it's going to happen, it's on me. That mindset unlocks freedom. Losers give their power away, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Excuses always sound good in the moment. They protect you from effort, from risk, from facing failure. They're like a soft pillow you fall back on when things get tough. But ask yourself, How long can you keep resting there before it turns into regret? Excuses may give you short-term relief, but they deliver long-term pain. When you delay your goals, when you keep telling yourself not now, later, tomorrow, you're not avoiding the struggle. You're avoiding your own potential. And nothing hurts more than looking back and realizing you had the ability, but you chose the excuse. There's also something else about excuses. They multiply. One excuse leads to another. If you say, I can't work out because I'm tired, tomorrow it becomes I can't eat right because I'm stressed. Then the next week it's I can't focus on my goals because life is too busy. Before you know it, you've built a whole identity around why you can't. That identity feels safe because it shields you from responsibility, but it keeps you small. The more you practice excuses, the stronger they get and the weaker you become. Winners don't waste energy justifying why they can. They look for reasons why they must. Where losers see obstacles, winners see opportunities to test themselves. Where losers see limits, winners see challenges to overcome. The difference isn't in the circumstances. It's in the mindset. Life throws struggles at everyone. Winners push through, losers retreat. And the retreat always comes wrapped in the same soft language. I can't. I'm not ready. Maybe later. That's the prison of excuses, and most people never break free. But here's the good news. The prison door isn't locked. You're not trapped forever. At any moment, you can stop making excuses and start making moves. The first step is awareness. You have to catch yourself in the act. Every time you say, I don't have time, replace it with the truth. I didn't make time. Every time you say, I can't, replace it with, I choose not to. That small shift takes you from victim to decision maker. And once you admit it's a choice, you can make a different one. Breaking out of the prison of excuses also means embracing discomfort. Growth will never feel comfortable. Progress will never feel easy. Winners understand this and move forward anyway. Losers wait until they feel ready. But if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll wait forever. There will never be a perfect time. There will always be chaos, stress, uncertainty. The difference is whether you use it as a reason to stop or a reason to keep going. Excuses might protect your pride temporarily, but they destroy your future permanently. Progress may bruise your ego in the short term. You might fail, you might fall, you might look foolish, but those are temporary scars. And every scar is proof that you tried, that you grew, that you moved forward. You'll never regret progress, but you will regret excuses. 10 years from now, you won't remember the discomfort of trying. You'll only remember whether you acted or stayed stuck. So ask yourself, what are the excuses you've been clinging to? What stories are you telling yourself to avoid responsibility? And are those stories helping you grow, or are they keeping you locked in place? If you're serious about change, it starts with honesty. No more I can't, no more not now. No more waiting for perfect conditions. Stop building walls around yourself and start tearing them down. Because excuses are the language of those who stay the same. Progress is the language of those who rise. And in the end, you have to decide which voice you'll listen to. The voice of comfort that keeps you in the prison, or the voice of courage that pulls you forward. Winners choose progress, even when it's hard. Losers choose excuses, even when it's easy. The choice is yours, and the consequences are permanent. Accountability is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have in your life. And yet it's also one of the most avoided. People run from accountability because it feels heavy. It forces you to confront yourself, to admit your part in your failures, your missed opportunities, and your lack of results. Most would rather point the finger outward at their boss, their parents, their environment, their circumstances, because blaming something else is easier than facing the truth. But here's the reality. When you refuse accountability, you refuse power. The moment you stop owning your choices, you stop owning your future. Every excuse is a transfer of power. When you say, I didn't get that job because the system is unfair, you're giving your power to the system. When you say, I didn't reach my goals because I didn't get support, you're giving your power to other people. When you say, I didn't succeed because life is hard, you're giving your power to circumstances you can't control. And if you give away your power, how can you possibly change your life? Accountability isn't about blame. It's about power. It's about pulling that control back into your own hands and saying, no matter what happens, I decide what I do next. Think of accountability as the mirror you can't escape. It doesn't lie, it doesn't soften the truth. It doesn't let you off the hook. It shows you exactly who you are, whether you want to see it or not. The question is, will you use that mirror to change, or will you turn away and pretend it's not there? Losers turn away, winners face it, even when it hurts, because winners understand that pain from honesty is temporary, but the power it gives you lasts forever. Accountability demands that you stop making excuses. It demands that you stop outsourcing your responsibility to things you can't control. The weather, the economy, your childhood, your boss, your friends. They may influence your journey, but they don't define it. What defines it is how you respond. Winners own their response. Losers spend their lives explaining why it wasn't their fault. But the truth is, even when it isn't your fault, it's still your responsibility to deal with it. You didn't choose every hardship in your life, but you choose what you do with it, and that choice is what separates progress from stagnation. There is nothing more freeing than accountability. At first, it feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like admitting you failed. But once you embrace it, you realize it's the opposite. It's freedom. Because if it's your fault, then it's also in your hands to fix it. You don't have to wait for someone to save you. You don't have to wait for conditions to change. You don't have to hope the world gets easier. You just have to take action. Accountability takes you from victim to driver. And once you're in the driver's seat, nothing can stop you. Winners make progress because they don't waste energy blaming others. They use that energy to build solutions. They don't ask why me, they ask what now. That simple shift is everything. Because why me keeps you stuck in the past, looking for someone to blame. What now puts your eyes on the future, focused on the next step forward. Accountability is progress in motion. Every time you accept responsibility, you push forward. Every time you refuse it, you stand still. Accountability also builds respect, both for yourself and from others. Think about it. When you meet someone who always has an excuse, always points fingers, always avoids responsibility, do you trust them? Do you admire them? No. You see weakness, but when you meet someone who owns their mistakes, admits their shortcomings, and still pushes forward, you respect them, even if they fail. Why? Because accountability is strength. It shows courage. And courage earns respect. The hardest part of accountability is that it doesn't give you room to hide. It forces you to admit that the life you're living right now is a result of your own choices, your health, your relationships, your finances, your career. All of it reflects what you chose or what you tolerated. That realization can be painful, but it's also the starting point of transformation. Because if your choices got you here, better choices can get you somewhere else. Accountability isn't punishment. It's the map to your freedom. And don't mistake accountability for self-blame or self-hatred. It's not about beating yourself down. It's about empowering yourself to rise. Winners don't dwell on their mistakes. They learn from them. They don't stay stuck in regret. They turn regret into resolve. Accountability means saying, yes, I fell, but I chose to get back up. Yes, I failed, but I chose to try again. That mindset creates unstoppable momentum. Life will always give you reasons to quit. It will always hand you circumstances you didn't ask for. It will always test you with challenges you don't deserve. But accountability shifts the focus. It tells you, maybe I didn't choose the challenge, but I choose my response. And in that choice lies your growth. In that choice lies your progress. The ones who succeed in life are not the ones with the least obstacles. They are the ones who accept accountability in the face of obstacles. They stop pointing fingers and start asking better questions. They stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating progress with what they have. They stop living as victims and start living as leaders of their own lives. So if you want power, stop running from accountability. Look in the mirror. Face yourself. Admit where you've been making excuses. Admit where you've been blaming others. And then take that responsibility back. Say to yourself, This is my life. My choices created it. My choices can change it. That mindset will make you unstoppable because it places the pen back in your hand. You're no longer waiting for someone else to write your story. You're writing it yourself. Remember this. Accountability is not a burden. It's the key to your freedom. The moment you stop dodging it and start embracing it, you unlock a level of power that excuses will never give you. And once you taste that power, once you see how much control you truly have, you will never go back. That's the difference between losers and winners. Losers hide from accountability. Winners embrace it, and because they do, they don't just make progress, they make history. Perfection is one of the greatest traps that keeps people from moving forward in life. On the surface, it looks like a noble goal. Who doesn't want to do things perfectly? Who doesn't want everything to be flawless before they take action? But perfection is a lie. It's an illusion that keeps you stuck in preparation instead of execution. The truth is, progress will always be more valuable than perfection. You don't get results by waiting until everything is ideal. You get results by moving forward, making mistakes, learning and adjusting along the way. Perfection tells you to wait. It whispers, don't start until you have all the answers. Don't act until you're completely ready. Don't move until the timing is just right. And while you're waiting, your life is passing by. Opportunities are slipping through your fingers. Other people with less talent, fewer resources, and more obstacles are moving ahead simply because they were willing to begin. Winners understand that progress beats perfection every single time. Losers keep waiting for the perfect moment, but it never comes. Progress is messy. It doesn't look clean. It doesn't feel polished. Sometimes it's full of mistakes, false starts, and failures. But that mess is where growth happens. Every mistake is a lesson. Every failure is feedback. Every attempt moves you one step closer. When you demand perfection, you rob yourself of that process. You end up paralyzed, unable to act because nothing ever feels good enough. But when you value progress, you free yourself. You allow yourself to move forward, knowing that imperfect action is still better than no action at all. Just think about any skill you've ever developed. You didn't learn to walk by waiting until you had perfect balance. You didn't learn to speak by waiting until you knew every word. You learned by trying, failing, stumbling, and getting better with time. Yet, as adults, so many people forget that process. They think they have to have it all figured out before they begin. That mindset kills growth. Winners don't wait until they're experts to begin. They begin, and through progress, they become expert. Perfection is also rooted in fear. People chase perfection because they're afraid of being judged. They think if their work, their effort, or their life isn't flawless, others will criticize them. But here's the truth. People will criticize you no matter what. If you act, they'll talk. If you don't act, they'll still talk. You can't control what they say. The only thing you can control is whether you keep moving. And progress protects you from regret, while perfection only protects you from growth. Progress builds momentum. Once you start moving, even in small ways, you generate energy. That energy compounds. One small step turns into two. 2 steps turn into 10. Before you know it, you're far ahead of where you started, simply because you were willing to begin. Perfection, on the other hand, kills momentum. It keeps you stuck at the starting line, planning and preparing, but never running the race. Winners don't overthink. They move. They trust that action will teach them more than theory ever will. There's also a hidden truth about perfection. It doesn't actually exist. No matter how much you refine, no matter how much you prepare, there will always be flaws. There will always be something you could have done differently. Waiting for perfection is like chasing a shadow. You'll never catch it. Progress accepts imperfection as part of the process. It embraces the flaws, learns from them, and keeps going. That's why winners succeed. They don't waste their lives chasing something that doesn't exist. Losers often say, I'll start when I'm ready. Winners know readiness is a myth. You'll never feel completely ready. You'll never feel completely confident. The only way to get ready is to start. Action creates clarity. Progress builds confidence. The more you do, the more prepared you become. But if you sit still, waiting for readiness, you'll stay unprepared forever. That's why progress matters. It forces you to grow into readiness. The pursuit of progress also changes your relationship with failure. Losers see failure as proof. They should have waited. Winners see failure as proof they're learning. Every failure is information. It tells you what doesn't work, what needs adjusting, and what to try next. Without progress, you never get that information. You stay in theory, in planning, in daydreaming. Winners know they can't perfect the plan on paper. They have to test it in reality. And reality will always teach you more than your imagination ever could. Progress also builds resilience. When you keep moving, you develop the ability to handle setbacks. You learn to adapt, to pivot, to keep going despite obstacles. That resilience becomes part of your character. Perfection, on the other hand, makes you fragile. Because if you believe things must be perfect, the first setback breaks you. You don't know how to respond because you never allowed yourself to fail. Progress strengthens you. Perfection weakens you. So ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting for perfection? Where are you holding back, telling yourself the timing isn't right, the plan isn't ready, or you're not good enough yet? Be honest, because those are the places where you're choosing excuses over progress. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to move. The only way out is to act now, not later. Not someday, now. Remember this, winners don't get ahead by being perfect. They get ahead by moving, learning, and adapting. Progress is what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goals. Perfection brings you nothing but delay. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to be consistent. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Life doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. It rewards those who take action despite the fear, despite the uncertainty, despite the imperfections. Winners know this, and that's why they progress. Losers don't. They sit in silence, polishing plans that never see the light of day, convincing themselves they're just not ready. But winners, they move forward, imperfectly, but relentlessly. And in the end, progress always wins. Motivation is powerful, but it's also fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather, unpredictable and inconsistent. One day you wake up fired up, ready to take on the world, and the next you struggle to even get out of bed. If your entire life is built on waiting for motivation, you will always be at its mercy. That's why discipline is stronger than motivation. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't ask if you're inspired. Discipline gets the work done, whether you're excited, bored, tired, or unmotivated. Winners know that while motivation can start the journey, discipline is what finishes it. Motivation is like a spark. It can ignite passion, but it burns out quickly. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps burning even when the spark is gone. Too many people rely on feelings to dictate their actions. They'll say, I'll go to the gym when I feel motivated. I'll start working on my dream when I feel ready. I'll change my life when the time feels right. But feelings are unreliable. If you're waiting for the perfect mood, you'll wait forever. Discipline removes the need for feelings. It turns action into a habit, a system, something you do no matter what. That's where true growth begins. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who are always motivated. They're the ones who show up even when they don't want to. They've trained themselves to act, despite resistance. They understand that discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you push yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, you're training that muscle. And over time, it becomes second nature. What once felt impossible eventually feels normal. Winners don't depend on emotional highs to carry them. They build structures of discipline that make action automatic. Motivation makes you feel good in the moment, but discipline builds results that last a lifetime. Imagine someone who only works hard when they feel like it. They'll make progress in bursts, but then stall out every time their emotions dip. Their life becomes a cycle of starting strong and quitting fast. But the disciplined person, they move steadily, consistently, regardless of emotions. Day after day, they lay bricks. Some days they lay many, some days only a few, but they keep building. And one day they look back and realize they've built a wall so strong that no amount of motivation alone could have achieved it. Discipline is also freedom. That might sound strange at first, but it's true. When you lack discipline, you're a slave to your impulses. If you only act when you feel like it, your feelings control you. But when you have discipline, you control your feelings. You choose your actions, not your mood. That kind of self-control creates freedom, because you are no longer at the mercy of laziness, fear, or procrastination. Winners live with freedom because they are disciplined enough to do what others won't. Losers stay stuck because they chase feelings instead of commitments. Another truth is that motivation doesn't survive discomfort. The moment things get hard, motivation disappears. You can't rely on it when challenges come. But discipline thrives in discomfort. Discipline says, I don't care how hard this is, I'm doing it anyway. That mindset separates those who succeed from those who give up. If you look at the greatest athletes, leaders or achievers, they'll tell you their secret isn't motivation, it's discipline. They train when they don't feel like training. They work when they don't feel like working. That's why they stand out. They've mastered the art of consistency through discipline. Motivation is about excitement. Discipline is about commitment. Excitement fades, but commitment endures. Anyone can start something with excitement. Few can finish it with commitment. That's why the world is full of unfinished projects, abandoned dreams, and empty promises. Motivation got people started, but the lack of discipline stopped them. Winners don't chase excitement. They chase results. They know results only come from consistent action, and consistent action only comes from discipline. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you embrace discipline. You begin to trust yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, even when you didn't feel like it, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that your word matters. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. On the other hand, when you constantly break promises to yourself, you weaken your confidence. You begin to doubt your ability to follow through. That's why losers often stay stuck. They rely on motivation, break their own commitments, and slowly lose faith in themselves. Discipline rebuilds that faith. Discipline also multiplies over time. The more consistent you are, the more results you see. The more results you see, the more driven you become. It creates a cycle of progress that keeps building. Motivation might give you a short burst of energy, but discipline gives you compounding results. Think of it like money. Motivation is like a lottery ticket. It might give you a big win once in a while, but it's unpredictable. Discipline is like steady investments. It grows over time, guaranteed, and eventually creates wealth beyond what you imagined. So ask yourself, are you living by motivation or by discipline? Do you only work hard when you feel like it? Or do you push through regardless of feelings? Do you wait for the right mood? Or do you create results by showing up consistently? Be honest, because your answer determines your future. Motivation will fail you. It will leave you hanging when things get tough. Discipline won't. Discipline will carry you through every storm, every setback, every obstacle. Remember this, winners are not the most motivated people in the room. They are the most disciplined. They don't wait for inspiration. They create habits. They don't wait for the right mood. They build routines. And when others quit because the excitement has faded, they keep going because their discipline holds them steady. That's why winners progress while losers make excuses. If you want to transform your life, stop chasing motivation. Start building discipline. Wake up and act. Whether you feel like it or not, show up, even on the days you want to quit. Push through the resistance, because that's where growth happens. Discipline will make you stronger, more resilient, and more capable than motivation ever could. And when your life begins to change, you'll realize it wasn't because you waited for the right moment. It was because you created it through discipline. Obstacles are not there to stop you. They are there to shape you. Every challenge, every setback, every difficulty you encounter in life is not the end of your journey, but a necessary part of it. Too many people see obstacles as walls meant to block them. But the truth is, those walls exist to test how badly you want to move forward. They are not barriers, they are teachers. And when you stop running from them and instead decide to use them, obstacles become fuel. They become the very thing that powers you to rise higher than you ever thought possible. Most people think success is about avoiding problems, about finding a smooth, easy road. But the truth is, there is no such road. Life guarantees obstacles. The difference between winners and losers isn't the presence of obstacles, it's how they respond to them. Losers see an obstacle and use it as an excuse to quit. They say, this is too hard, This is not for me. Winners see the same obstacle and say, this is my chance to grow. This is my chance to prove myself. And in that moment, what was meant to stop them becomes the very thing that strengthens them. Think about it. Some of the greatest success stories in history were born out of struggle. Every person who achieved something significant had to fight through pain, failure, and rejection. If you stripped away the obstacles from their stories, you would strip away the very force that made them who they are. The hardship was not a detour. It was the path. Winners understand this truth. They don't complain about obstacles. They use them as energy. They let the pain sharpen them, the rejection toughen them, and the struggle strengthen their resolve. Obstacles also reveal what you're made of. It's easy to say you want something when everything is going your way. But when the road gets hard, when nothing is working, when you're tired, frustrated, and doubting yourself, how you respond in that moment defines you. That's the real test. Obstacles strip away the false image and show you your real character. Winners face that reality, and instead of folding, they rise. They dig deeper, they adapt, and they push harder. They take the obstacle and turn it into a stepping stone. Losers, on the other hand, collapse under the weight and never realize that the very obstacle they ran from was the one thing that could have elevated them. The truth is, obstacles carry hidden opportunities. When something blocks your path, it forces you to think differently. It pushes you to innovate, to adapt, to find a better way. That's why so many breakthroughs come during tough times. The obstacle sparks creativity and resilience you didn't know you had. Without it, you would have stayed comfortable, unchanged, but because of it, you grow. The problem you thought was your enemy becomes your ally. It teaches you lessons you could not have learned otherwise. Turning obstacles into fuel also requires a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what can I learn from this? How can I use this? That single change transforms everything. Suddenly, the obstacle is no longer a punishment. It's a gift. It's giving you wisdom, endurance, and strength. It's preparing you for the next level. Winners adopt this mindset and keep moving. They don't waste energy blaming, complaining, or comparing. They channel all their energy into using the obstacle as power. And here's the key. Obstacles don't just prepare you for success. They make success meaningful. If everything came easy, you wouldn't value it. You wouldn't respect the journey or the result. It's the struggle that gives success its weight, its pride, its satisfaction. When you've fought for something, when you've bled for it, when you've failed and still kept going, finally achieving it feels like victory in the deepest sense. Without obstacles, there is no story. Without struggle, there is no strength. So how do you turn obstacles into fuel? First, you face them head on. Stop running. Stop pretending they don't exist. Acknowledge the challenge and then decide you're bigger than it. Second, change your perspective. Don't see it as something that's blocking you. See it as something that's building you. Third, use it. Take the pain, the frustration, the setback, and channel it into your drive. Let it remind you why you started. Let it push you to keep going. Winners don't just survive obstacles, they thrive because of them. Imagine your life without obstacles. No failures, no setbacks, no struggles. At first it might sound appealing, but in reality, it would leave you weak, fragile, and untested. It's like trying to grow muscles without ever lifting weight. The resistance is what builds strength. Without it, you remain the same. That's why obstacles are necessary. They are life's way of training you for greatness. They prepare you for the victories you're chasing. And if you quit every time you face resistance, you'll never build the strength to hold the success when it finally arrives. Obstacles are inevitable. You can't escape them. But you do get to decide whether they destroy you or fuel you. That choice belongs to you. Winners look at the obstacle and say, this is my edge, this is my power, this is my chance. Losers look at the same obstacle and say, this is too much, I can't handle it. And just like that, the same challenge creates two very different lives. One of growth, one of regret. So the next time you hit a wall, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of your next level. Don't waste time complaining about how unfair it is. Use it. Let it fuel you. Let it drive you harder, sharper, stronger. Because the truth is, obstacles are not there to stop you. They are there to push you. And if you let them, they will carry you to places motivation alone never could. Remember this, your obstacles are not your enemy. They are your fuel. The choice is yours. Will you let them break you, or will you use them to build the unstoppable version of yourself? Life doesn't reward excuses. It doesn't reward waiting for the perfect moment or relying on fleeting bursts of motivation. Life rewards those who take ownership, those who stay disciplined, those who push through obstacles and refuse to quit. The truth is simple. Losers make excuses, but winners make progress. And progress, no matter how small, will always take you further than excuses ever could. If you want to change your life, stop talking about what's holding you back and start focusing on what you can control. Stop waiting to feel ready and start moving forward with what you have right now. Stop letting setbacks define you and start using them as fuel every day. You show up every day. You take one step forward. You are proving to yourself that you're not here to settle. You're here to rise. Excuses might feel comfortable, but comfort kills growth. Progress might feel uncomfortable, but discomfort builds greatness. Winners don't live for comfort. They live for the challenge, for the discipline, for the journey that shapes them into something stronger. So ask yourself, will you spend your life explaining why you didn't make it, or will you spend it proving that you did? The choice is yours. Don't waste another second inside the prison of excuses. Walk out, claim your power, and move forward. Because your future is not waiting for your excuses. It's waiting for your progress. Stand tall, act boldly, and remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. Winners don't stop. Winners don't wait. Winners don't explain. Winners build. Winners grow. Winners move. And so can you, if you decide right here and right now that excuses end today and progress begins now.